Hi everybody, welcome to my channel, Life, Law, Bin. Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm really excited today because I have a very special guest with me. His name is Oluwakayode Aseweje, and he is definitely one of our IFBM volunteer coordinators. I know that this would be an anticipated video. It's definitely one that we promised when advertising for the role, and I am ecstatic that Kayode is here with us today to basically have a chat. So, welcome, Kayode. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Nia. It's my pleasure to be here. I think I've watched this channel so many times, seen many inspirational people like yourself, like Ayana Nelson, Mary Power Casey. And so it's quite exciting to be a guest today. So yes, I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad that you are definitely joining the rank of inspirational people because I'm sure that this video will be inspiring to those who are listening. So let's get cracking. And I want to start with an introduction. So I want you to introduce yourself briefly. Tell us where you're from and the length of time that you've been in the UK pursuing a career at the Bar of England and Wales.
Yes, so I'm from Nigeria, from the southwestern part of Nigeria, a lovely city called Ibadan, which was where I grew up. I went to school, primary school, secondary school, and university. And so I've been in the UK for 4 years now, and that includes 2 years spent doing my law degree and a further 2 years that I have spent working as a paralegal. So yeah, so I would say 4 years since I've been in the UK. What was the other question?
Yes, I think you answered that quite well because you incorporated the length of time that you've been here, and that was definitely both questions that we did ask you. So 4 years is a quite a bit of time to be away from family and friends. Now, why did you apply to become IFBM's volunteer coordinator?
Yes, so two things really. The first one is being an international aspiring barrister myself. I recognize the challenges that international aspiring barristers face. There are several underrepresented groups at the bar, but ours is a very unique one, and we have unique challenges. And having been through those challenges, I'm sure we'll explore that in the course of this feature. But recognizing that I wanted to be a part of making a difference, supporting people in recognizing that a career at the bar can be for them, and recognizing the opportunities at the Bar of England and Wales, and also being aware of the hurdles as well. And so I just wanted to be a part of helping people, helping international aspiring barristers like myself, just gain that bit more insight into a career at the bar and realize that it can be a place for them too.
That's absolutely wonderful. I mean, I was ecstatic to receive the applications and to know that there are persons out there that want to help to advance IFBM, help us to make our mark. Now, on a lighter note, would you tell us a fun fact about yourself?
Yeah, so a fun fact about myself is that when I'm not lawyering, in quotes, I'm acting. I can normally be found on the stage. So I'm part of a non-professional acting group in Cardiff, which is where I live. So yeah, I was recently in a show actually called The London Merchant, which is ironic given it was in Wales, but that was part of the idea. But it's I love acting. It's fun just being on stage, performing, exploring costumes, making friends, and it's just a good thing to do outside of a legal career and the serious pursuit of a career at the bar. So yes, I'm an actor part-time.
That's exciting to me because acting always holds a very special place in my heart. Anyone who knows my journey quite well would know that I spent a lot of my years on the stage acting. So I definitely think that that's a wonderful, wonderful hobby. And I actually have to come check out one of your shows sometime. I know that we're a bit far apart, but I do need to make that trip to Wales and catch up, check out one of your shows.
Yeah, you need to come through. Just let
Yeah,
me know when you're coming. I'll make sure it's a good one.
Good, yes. So let's just pivot a bit and focus a bit on your legal journey. Um, I know that you have a first degree in English language. Why did you decide to pursue law?
Yes, that's a great question. I think my decision to pursue law wasn't this well thought out decision. It just so actually when I finished secondary school, I initially wanted to study law, but that was only because I saw that that was what my friends were studying. And growing up in Nigeria, there was this idea that, oh, you've got to do this professional courses like law, medicine, etc. So I just thought, yeah, I want to do that. But I didn't get into the universities that I wanted because it's quite competitive to get into law school in Nigeria. So I didn't get into law school, but I did get into English. And so I studied that and I loved it. I loved studying English. It was such an enjoyable degree. And in fact, at the end of it, I'd forgotten about law entirely because I was thinking of other things. I was interested in journalism. I used to write for magazines, all sorts of magazines, like travel magazines, in the city that I lived in. And I used to do content writing for on all sorts of things. So that was the sort of line I was going to explore. But then law reared its head again, and I was drawn to law because I just think of all the humanities disciplines, it embodies the different humanities disciplines that there are. So history, language, psychology, you can find all that in law, and that was an appeal. And that was what inspired me to say, you know what, I'll give this a try.
What impact does, having that first degree in English have on pursuing a career at the bar?
Yeah, so there's two things. And firstly, it's the fact that an English degree, by its nature, it's about language, it's about the English language and its use. So on the degree, I explored a lot of of language construction, analyzing different types of texts, discourse analysis, and all of that, really, really prepares you for a career at the bar because a career at the bar is about the use of language. Written and oral advocacy are so important for barristers, and I feel that my English degree actually, without knowing it, prepared me for that because we had to do a lot of writing, critique a lot of texts, and really learn about language and how it's used and why it's used. And I think that's so beneficial to an aspiring barrister. But the second reason is also maturity, because having studied a degree before, then coming to the UK and having to adapt to a new culture, a new academic regime, a new profession entirely was quite a lot. But I think the maturity that's come from going through that, the resilience that I've built, I think would really be a benefit in a career at the bar.
I definitely think that that English language degree will serve you well, especially because law is an interpretive discipline. That's where we get our bread and butter from. Most of the time, both advocates are referring to the same piece of legislation,
Yeah.
but with two different interpretive lenses. So it's to me two different interpretive lens. So it's something that I think will serve you exceptionally well. Now you went on to pursue an LLB in the UK.
Yeah.
And for those who know the system quite well would know that you could have potentially, done the GDL or the postgraduate diploma in law, which are usually options for persons who have a first degree, and they just want to transfer into law. So why did you choose to pursue an LLB as opposed to the GDL or the postgraduate diploma in law?
To be honest, I didn't even know that those existed. I only really knew about the LLB, and I knew that in the UK, in Nigeria, we have just the LLB and it's a 5-year course. But I knew that in the UK, you study the LLB in 3 years. But then I realized that some universities offered what we call, I think they call them different things. Some call them senior status LLB, some call them graduate LLB. My university called it the accelerated route LLB. It's basically you doing the whole 3-year degree in 2 years. And so I discovered that and I thought, oh, that works for me, because I'm a graduate already and I'll be able to do that course. So I didn't know that the GDL existed. If I did, maybe I would have opted for that, because it's 1 year. But at the same time, I'm quite happy I did the LLB because I think I got a broader exposure to the foundational, law disciplines like contract tort. I'm sure you do that on the GDL as well, but I think having a bit more time to explore substantive law was beneficial.
You see, you raised something there that is so very important and is often overlooked. International applicants come in with a knowledge deficit. So we actually come into a system where you don't actually know about the resources that you can tap into. So that's actually an excellent example that you just provided. You came with your preconceived notion of what is the traditional route of becoming a lawyer or a barrister, and it was the LLB that you were going after. But it was only then, after you possibly started your program and you probably heard about people talking about different things, that you realize that there's this thing known as the GDL, and it's the same thing as you would know as a fellow international applicant. When we come, a lot of it is you're operating at a knowledge deficit and you're just trying to stumble along blindly trying to figure out your way.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's pretty much it. I didn't know very much at all. All I knew was this was the degree that was available. I didn't know much else, to be honest. So yeah.
And that's why IFBM is so important, and that's why the work we do is so important in really kind of leveling that playing field and making sure that people have the knowledge that they're required. So I do note that you've been here for 4 years, and you're working. You have an amazing and outstanding CV, but you have not yet undertaken the bar course. What challenges, if there are any, do you find that you're facing in regard to pursuing the bar course as an international aspiring barrister?
Yes. So the main challenge with regards to the bar course, to be honest, is largely financial, because it hasn't been challenging as such getting onto the course. Because I've applied for the course and I've had places, but I haven't been able to fund the course. And as you know, doing the bar course is an expensive venture. And yeah, there are scholarships and all sorts which I've applied for, but not been successful yet. And also, as an international student, you're not eligible for student loans, for the government student loans that many home students have access to. So I haven't been able to use that. And also with private loans, it's very difficult as an international student who hasn't built credit, who is on a temporary visa. So all those challenges have just made it difficult to fund the bar course. And so far, anyway, I still plan to do it in the near future. But so far, those are the main challenges that I've faced.
And those are some significant challenges. I love the positivity. I love the fact that we're speaking it into existence and saying not yet. It's really a matter of when.
Yeah.
It definitely is a matter of when. So, in terms of your legal work experience, you are a clinical negligence paralegal in Wales. You've acquired a lot of legal work experience. As I mentioned before, your CV is outstanding. Could you explain your current legal role and how this will assist you in securing pupillage?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for that compliment. Yes, so my current legal role, as you highlighted, I'm a clinical negligence paralegal at the in-house legal department of NHS Wales. So just a little public law lesson. Healthcare in the UK is devolved. So that means the different constituent nations have power over how they structure the NHS. So that's why NHS England is different from NHS Wales, different from NHS Scotland. So anyway, NHS Wales as a body is a legal body. And so it needs legal advisors to advise it in its daily operations. So basically, as a paralegal, I support solicitors, or in-house solicitors, in the day-to-day management of clinical negligence cases. So it's a very litigation-focused job, and we were involved at all stages of clinical negligence litigation. So starting from the pre-action stage, where a claimant brings a claim against a health board, and we defend that claim. Sometimes we settle it before it gets to trial. Other times it has to go to trial. So just being part of that litigation process is my role basically, and practically what I do. I liaise with the different parties to a case. So I'm the one drafting letters, emails to the other side, to our witnesses. So our witness in this case might be a doctor or a nurse accused of negligence. So kind of explaining to them what they're being accused of and explaining to them and requesting comments from them basically, then instructing experts for expert evidence, instructing barristers. So actually it's a lot of exposure to the different parties in clinical negligence litigation, and also research, a lot of research into quantum, into liability, costs. So yeah, it's very, yeah, there's so many tasks that I'm involved in. And so the second part of the question, how will this be useful in the pursuit of pupillage? Well, first of all, it's given me the hard skills that you need as a lawyer, which are the drafting skills, because I have to draft quite a lot of instructions to counsel, instructions to experts, liability reports, opinions on liability and quantum, and things like that, and a lot of research as well. I'm always researching case law. I never liked maths, but I didn't realize how much maths there is in quantum research, so doing that. Yeah, but also the soft skills of being a barrister, which is your interpersonal skills, how you get on with other lawyers, how you get on with other parties to a dispute. Yeah, I'm having to liaise with expert witnesses, some of which are professors of medicine at Oxford or University of Edinburgh, and then you have to liaise with them, liaising with clients, liaising with the other sides, and liaising with barristers as well. So, and I feel like barristers, it's also giving me insight into a barrister's role in litigation. A barrister really comes at the end of a case. There's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes. Most cases don't get to trial. Lots of cases are resolved with solicitors through negotiations, etc. So an insight into that process and how it plays out has been really beneficial for me. And I think when I become a barrister, I think it will help me appreciate the role that solicitors play and help me have a better understanding of my role in dispute resolution. So yes, broadly, that's the answer to that question.
I am so engaged, listening to the wealth of experience that you are getting to obtain and really acquire. I think that this will serve you well, not only in pupillage, but going past pupillage, developing your career at the bar. This is very, very helpful experience. And yes, you would have seen me laugh when you spoke about the maths point. Yeah, who knew that maths would be so involved in law? I thought
Uh,
I told math goodbye
I
at
thought the same, but yeah,
CXC/GCSE level. But it's very much involved, and I'm glad that you're realizing too how important as well costs are. It's
yeah,
in law school or even at the undergrad level, you don't really know how important. You can't go into a hearing and forget to
and
discuss people's
exactly.
costs. Um,
Costs are so important, and cost budgeting is a huge part of litigation. And I'm realizing that because you have to calculate so many things and you have to conjecture a lot because you don't really know how much things will cost, but you can only guess, and that takes a lot of calculation. It's just,
and
yeah, I've
then
had to
And then the
read.
thing about it too is that if the matter does get to court, you'd be actually surprised how much, you'd be surprised that there's actual dialogue on costs, there's dialogue on quantum, there's
Yeah,
dialogue on interest, there are actual submissions that have to be made on each of
on
these
costs.
points.
Do you
So
know that they are designated costs judges? Do you know some lawyers actually have their specialism in costs? I
in
didn't know that until
cost.
recently.
Yeah, so that is exciting. You will bring a wealth of knowledge to your pupillage applications and pupillage interviews, and I believe that you will be able to share that you've really considered a career at the bar and you know what it takes, and having been in that position as a clinical paralegal and knowing what the other side does, what a solicitor's role would be, and then instructing a barrister and understanding their role as well. Now, we did touch lightly earlier in our discussion on some of the challenges that you would have faced, particularly the financial hurdles and stuff in terms of pursuing the bar course. But I want to come back a bit and really delve deeper into the challenges as an international applicant. Now, as an international aspiring barrister, can you name three of the most significant challenges that you've encountered in your pursuit of a career at the bar?
Yes. So the first one has already been alluded to, the financial challenge, because it is a huge challenge. The bar, wanting a career at the bar is also recognizing that it will cost, that there are costs to becoming a barrister, that there are costs doing the bar course, applying for pupillage, doing mini pupillages, all those things cost a lot. And so I think recognizing that that is the case is very, very important. And so, as I've already explained, I've had financial struggles with accessing a career at the bar. So that's the first one. The second one is the lack of connections or awareness about the bar. I think we alluded to this at the beginning. I think as international students, as an international student myself, when I was a student, I came to this country not knowing anything really. I was just very excited to do a law degree, and I didn't know very much about the different professions, because in my country, it's a fields profession, as I'm sure in many other countries as well. So you don't know. I came into the UK, I came onto the course not knowing all of that. And I remember when I was at university, going to a careers fair where being a barrister was discussed, and I thought, oh, I'm interested in that. And then I was meeting people who they had done mini pupillages, they'd done marshalling. I was thinking, what are those? So there was that knowledge gap that I faced as an international student back, but I overcame that. And actually, COVID was a blessing in disguise in that regard, because the COVID year was my final year at university, my second year of my law degree, which was my final year. And that was a time when so much was being made available online. So there were so many webinars by the Inns, there were so many insight events. There was even, I remember in the summer of 2020, there was this charity called Urban Lawyers by a barrister called Tunde Okewale at Doughty Street. It's his charity, and they ran a 10-week mentoring program inviting barristers, solicitors, and different people in the legal profession just to educate students about the legal profession. So things like that I took advantage of. There were insight evenings at the Inns, and I would attend those, not physically at the Inns, because I lived and still live in Wales, and it's a trek to get to London, but they're made available online. And so people will talk about their journeys to the bar. And also, I think being active on social media, LinkedIn and legal Twitter has been so helpful. Being connected with other international students who want to be barristers like yourself and Mekisa and the gang, as I would call our group, also just made me realize that there are other people in the same position as myself or in a similar position. And so I think doing all of that exposed me to what a career at the bar entailed and helped me plug those gaps to an extent. And that came over time. It's taken, even now I think I'm still learning about what a career at the bar entails, and still learning a lot all the time. But I think, yes, and things going online and things being accessible online really made a difference to my knowledge base about the bar.
I think you preempted my next question, which was, how do you overcome those challenges? And I think you're doing a wonderful job in terms of building your support and network. And that's why it's so important to have this community, and why I think IFBM is so important, why I think making sure that we know one another and we have regular discussions is so, it's so, so important. Because as you said, you don't want to be turning up to like events and you're hearing things for the first time and you're telling
Yeah,
yourself, what is a mini pupillage? What is marshalling? Why is this so important? So I know that the financial challenge is something that is still yet to be, overcome, but it's something that we as positive people, we will conquer. We
yeah.
will overcome that.
Yes, definitely. And, my overcoming that for me has been looking at alternative sources of funding, trying to open up avenues of funding. So, like for the next window, for example, I'm planning to get into essay competitions. Hopefully that can, and then apply to chambers that have maybe pupillage awards that can support, that I can draw down Barclays funding from, maybe applying to more of those sets of chambers as well. So yeah, so things like that I'm doing to plug the gaps and to make the best of my situation, basically.
As an international aspiring barrister, name two of your proudest moments in pursuit of the bar.
Yes, okay. So two of my proudest moments. The first one was a National Judicial Review moot by the Human Rights Law Association that I participated in 2021. That was, I think, in my final year or shortly after. And why it's one of my proudest moments is because I went into this competition just thinking, oh yeah, I want to gain more advocacy experience. And so I partnered up with someone who was based in London actually, but we used to meet over Zoom and rehearse together and practice together. And I remember looking at the past winners of the competition and the kind of people who competed in it. They were mostly Oxbridge students. And when I entered the competition, I didn't even think I stood a chance. But somehow we made it to the semi-final, which involved 8 candidates, most of whom went to Oxbridge. Myself and my meeting partner didn't. And somehow we got to the final, and I couldn't believe it. And the final was in the Royal Court of Justice in London. And I remember going there and just, I think I was just overwhelmed by just being able to have made it to the final out of, I think, about 195 teams or 198 teams. So, and that was teams of 2. So that was, say, about 400 people in total who entered. And to have gotten into the final was just amazing. And, the judges as well. I remember Lord Justice Singh, the first Asian Court of Appeal judge, was the main judge, and Melanie Simpson Casey, who was one of the 6 Black women that took silk that year, was another of the judges. And to just be in the presence of such people, and and I think we were in one of the courts of appeal as well. So I think just being there blew my mind away. We didn't win the moot, my team. We were runners up, but our arguments were accepted or our application was granted, our fictional application. And I think that was a huge achievement for me. To have my name on that roll of winners, was a huge achievement. And the second one was my degree. So I graduated with first class and I was the top of my year. And why that made me so proud, it's not because I've always been academically gifted. I've never quite seen myself that way. But I think, I did a 3-year degree in 2 years, basically. It was so challenging. I had to adapt to a new academic system, a new country. There was COVID in between. And I think navigating all those challenges and still graduating top of my year was just something that made me so proud. I remember, I think I had firsts in all my first year grades. And in my second year, my lowest was land law, which obviously, land law is not the most fun. And I think I got like a 68 or something, but just thinking, wow, I'm capable of this, was something that really made a mark on me. And it's something I'm drawing on in my pursuit of the bar, just recognizing that, whatever handicaps or challenges I have only make me better. And I'm definitely able and capable of pursuing this career.
You are, and I think you're being a bit modest about that judicial review competition. You forgot to tell people that there were approximately, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there were approximately 195 teams.
Yeah.
So it's even amazing to even get to a semi-final, never mind the final, and then to be the runners up. So I definitely will plug that for you. That is an amazing achievement. So huge congratulations on both your LLB and your success in that prestigious competition.
Thank you.
What would you say to those international aspiring barristers who are keen to pursue a career at the bar?
Well, to those aspiring barristers, I would say 2 things. And the first is just going off my last point on my own proudest achievement is to believe in your capabilities. I think as international students, we have so much to offer. We've lived a different life before coming to the UK. We've gained some international aspirants to the UK bar are even advocates in other countries already. We've gained so much life and professional experience and personal experience in another country. That makes you stand out from the average candidate who doesn't have that. So believe in your capabilities. And yes, that's the first thing I would say. And the second thing is, I think my dad always used to say, realism is the start of progress. I think staying aware, staying informed about what you're getting into is really important. And so if you want to become a barrister in England and Wales, first recognize what that entails. What does that mean? What sorts of experiences do you need to get there? You know, do you need mini pupilages? How do you get mini pupilages? You know, and it's those things I talked about earlier, you know, looking for networks, looking for places where you can get information, attend events, whether virtual or in person, as many as you can. And, you know, if you haven't joined IFBM yet, or you're not looking at our socials, then I'm not sure what you're doing, because that's exactly what we exist for, and to help international aspiring barristers like yourselves to plug that knowledge gap that I referred to earlier, to just really understand what a career at the bar entails, what it involves, and to believe that you can do it. You know, you have what it takes, and you just need the right experiences and the right support, and you will get there.
Wonderfully said. You heard what he said, guys. If you're not following our social media pages, we really don't know what you're doing. Come join us, follow our social media pages. We're doing a wonderful job. The volunteer coordinators are doing an excellent job, making sure that the content is accurate and that you have all the opportunities at your fingertips. So you know we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, and we're on Instagram. So you should really be keeping an eye on our channels there. Kayode, it's been wonderful. It's been real. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing a bit of your journey. It was inspiring for me. I know that it will be inspiring to our viewers as well.
Thank you very much, Nia. It was my pleasure to be here. It feels like something ticked on my bucket list to be on Nia's channel. So, but seriously, it was a pleasure to be here and to be able to just share a bit of my own story. And yes, thank you.
That's very kind of you to say. That's absolutely kind of you to say. And guys, stay subscribed, turn on those post notifications. We also have another or other volunteer coordinator is going to be on as well to share her story, but we'll keep that under wraps until you get a glimpse of her video as well. Kayode, it's really been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And for the rest of you, we will see you on the next video. So stay tuned and take care of yourself, guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye.